Hey folks, welcome to the MyMathLab website. This is going to be a quick overview. This video is going to be a quick overview of all the wonderful things here at MyMathLab. Before we get started, because I am the professor of the class, there may be some stuff when I'm logged in. There may be some stuff that I can see that you can't see. You should not concern yourself with it. For example, over here in the left frame right now, you would not be able to see when you are logged in the test 2 preparation area. So don't worry about when you log in if you can't see things that are in this video. Let's start over here in the left area, the left frame. This is the course homepage. And the first thing I thought we'd look at is the tab that's called Course Information. In the course information, you're going to have 5 documents that I want you to open and print to have a copy on hand. First one is the course syllabus. Notice the description of the course syllabus. It's a document that contains the rules and policies for the course, and it contains a password that's needed for quiz 1 only. I want you to open and print the academic calendar, the online orientation, the protocol for sending email, and a list of homework to practice exercises. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up the syllabus, and I'm just going to go over a couple of items in the syllabus. I'm not going to read this to you. When you click on it, it's going to open it up as a PDF, and come over here and just click the print icon and print it out. It's a 5-page document. So just again, I'm not going to read this to you. You can read it on your own. A few things I am going to highlight here. The first one is my office location. It's in B3051. So you're on campus. Stop on by and say hi. These are my office hours. Let's see, table 1. Table 1, I show you what each test covers. So for example, test 1 is going to cover the assigned sections from weeks 1 through 3. That would be sections 1.9, 2.1 through 2.4, and 3.1 through 3.4. So table 1 breaks down what each test covers. Hey, when you show up to take a test at the Lakeland Testing Center, you need to have a photo ID and, of course, a pencil and your graphing calculator. You will not be allowed to use any notes or cheat sheets, anything like that. As you can see here in item number 2, they are prohibited. And you're going to have to know the course and your professor's name. So, when you show up, you'll say Math 1650 online. And the professor, well, it's me, Bill Armstrong. Deadline dates for every test will be in the academic calendar. And here are the hours for the test center, so you can see when they're open. Just a quick reminder, if you show up, say, Thursday evening at 8:35 p.m., they will not give you the test at that time. When it's within a half hour of closing, they just don't let anyone start a test. So please be aware of that. You can read through the testing policies. Let's see, online quizzes. You're going to have a total of 12 online quizzes worth 10 points each. So that's 120 points possible in online quizzes. The deadline date each week will be, or the deadline will be each Sunday at 11:55 p.m. You're going to have up to three attempts to take an online quiz. The one caveat is once you start an attempt, you must complete it in that session. Now, I don't have any kind of time limit on an online quiz. I mean, if it takes you 2 hours, it takes you 2 hours. 20 minutes, well, it takes you 20 minutes. So if you the one caveat, though, is that once you start the quiz, once you open it up and start an attempt, you must finish the attempt in that session. And you're going to have 3 attempts. Final exam is a 120-point final exam. You can see the point distribution. There's going to be a total of 3 tests at 120 points each. The quizzes total 120 points, and the final exam totals 120 points. So that means the course is worth a grand total of 600 points. And then in Table 3, you can see the percentages I use to determine the grade that you will earn. And you can read through all these bullet items on how I go about assigning course grades and the academic misconduct, general course tips. You can read through that. I want to highlight the learning of the course material. I have something called the 4-step cycle of learning. This has come about from many years of teaching online classes. And I'll let you read through each of them in depth. I'll just give a quick overview. This 4-step cycle of learning is how you can be successful in the class. And generally speaking, you're going to start off, you have to read the EText. Now, the neat thing about the EText is when you read a section, embedded within the section that you're reading, there will be videos embedded in the section, animations embedded in the section, maybe interactive videos. All of those things are done by the author of the textbook, Kirk Trigstead, which makes it really, really cool. Now, in addition to these embedded videos, I also supply, for most sections, I'm going to supply a link to a YouTube video where I make kind of highlighting the section itself and doing some examples. So you have some more examples to look at for the section. Following several examples within a section of the EText, you will see these things called You Try It. The You Try It is a practice problem, and it's meant to be very similar to the example that you have just read or watched the video for. So it's meant for you to just practice the skill or the concept at that time. And so that by the time you get to the end of the section, if you do all of those, when you attack the homework problems, it gives you a pretty good idea. You should be able to get through it fairly friendly. Homework problems at the end of each section. And then all of that stuff that I've just babbled about, what that does is that helps prepare you for the online quiz, the sections that will be covered on the online quizzes. Those in turn help prepare you for the tests. So that's a very quick overview of the syllabus. Please print it out and have it handy. Keep it on hand at all times. Also note that you will need a password to take quiz 1, and it's a password only for quiz 1. So that is the syllabus. Back here at the course information tab, I said you also had to open and print out the academic calendar. This is a weekly schedule showing the sections that will be covered weekly and any due dates that you will see for quizzes and tests. So let's take a look at the academic calendar real quick. Like I said, you can print this out and have it available at your own disposal. But you can see, it shows you the week, sections covered for the week, and any deadline dates. So for example, week 1, sections covered are 192122223. And then on Sunday, August 30th, it's the deadline to complete quiz 1. It's 11:55 p.m. So, I mean, if you get through these sections, you could do your first attempt at quiz 1, say Thursday or Friday, and say you get a 7 out of 10. You could do a second attempt, Saturday. You could do your third attempt then on Sunday, as long as you finish it by 11:55 p.m. But keep in mind, if you open the quiz to start an attempt, you must complete it in that session. Notice week 4 is dedicated for test preparation, and in the academic calendar shows you the deadline to complete test 1 is Saturday, September 19th. So you could take it Wednesday the 16th or Friday the 18th, but Saturday is the last day for you to take the test. So print out this document. It's a 2-page document. You'll even notice here on the second page, I mention, quizzes and the assigned sections that will be on each quiz. And I mention again each test and the sections covered on each test, something that you'd already seen in the syllabus, but I'm mentioning it again here. Okay, after you have the syllabus printed out and the academic calendar printed out, go ahead and open and print out the online orientation. This is a very, very brief orientation. Notice one of the first things that it reminds you of are some items to print out. So I find it pretty important that you print those items out. We talk about announcements. I'll look at the announcements area of the class website here in a minute. What you can do to get help. General overview again of taking the tests. And one more time, I mentioned the online quizzes. Next thing to print out will be the protocol for sending email. And as I mentioned in the welcome to online math class video I had, let me mention it one more time. Please get into the habit of checking your Lakeland email account every day. That's how professors are going to communicate with you. It's just a good habit to get into, just to check it once a day. If you're going to send me an email, I really need you to use your Lakeland email account. I need you to use your Lakeland email account for several reasons, but hey, the main reason is I know it's a Lakeland student sending me an email. I mean, if I see an email from a sleekdime@gmail.com, I don't know that's a Lakeland student. I don't know it's one of my students. I may not even open and read the email. So please use your Lakeland email account. Identify yourself in the email. I would appreciate it that when you start your email, if you just identify yourself by stating, your name and that you're a student in my Math 1650, college algebra online course. That just it just helps me. It saves me a little bit of time. Item number 4, allow time for a reply. Folks, I'm pretty good about replying to email. Generally speaking, I check my email 3 times a day. And if you send me an email, unless something has happened, I will respond to your email within 24 hours. I try to respond to emails as soon as possible. Now, if you send me an email on the weekend, it might be a little later. It might be a little longer for a response. For example, if you send me an email, say Saturday night at 10:30, you may not get a response till Sunday evening. But I will try to always reply to an email within 24 hours. And you can read through the rest of these items, 5, 6, 7, 8. But please print out the protocol for sending email. I would greatly appreciate it. Fifth and final thing I'm asking you to print out and have a hard copy on hand is the list of homework to practice exercises. So this is after you've read the EText, you've watched the videos, you've watched the animations, you've watched my video if I have one, you've done the You Try It practice. Now it's time to do the end of section homework problems. This is a list of all of them for all the sections. So it says section 1.9. The homework would start on EText screen 1.9-16, and I have listed here the problems I would like you to do for practice. So please print this out so you have this on hand at all times. And you may notice here in the course information area that I do have a 6th item here that I have not mentioned printing out, and that's the answers for all those practice exercises. Let me click on it, and I'll show you why I wouldn't print this out. If I were a student, I wouldn't print it out because this is a 40-page PDF. But what I would do is when I'm doing those homework problems that's at the end of each section, I would have this open in a separate tab so I could quickly check my answers. So print out the course syllabus, the academic calendar, online orientation, protocol for sending email, and the list of homework to practice exercises. All those items are found in your course information area. Now I thought we would take a quick look at the announcements area. Okay, I have posted weekly announcements for every week for the entire semester. The reason why I've decided to do this is that every semester, I tend to have a couple of students who desire to work ahead, and it's in their best interest if they desire to work ahead to see what upcoming weekly announcements would be. I'm not saying you have to work ahead. I'm just putting it out there so in case you would like to work ahead, you will know what the next week announcements would be. Just going to show you a typical week announcements. So let me come over here and I'll click on the welcome, the week 1 announcements. And the first thing you notice is I give another little welcome and I mention one more time the 5 items that you need to print from the course information area. Let me just scroll past that. Your typical weekly announcements will start off in the upper left-hand corner. I will tell you what week it is, and I define weeks to go from Monday through Sunday. So for example, the week 1 announcement. Week 1, I define it to be Monday, August 24th to Sunday, August 30th. And then in the announcements, I've mentioned that I've created a preview video for the section covering topics you're going to be learning this week. Notice I strongly suggest you watch my YouTube videos in full screen mode and put the setting in HD mode. And we're going to have to right click on the link and open in a new tab. So let me show you. Let me right click on the polynomial and rational inequalities. I'm going to open this link in a new tab. Let me come up here and click over to that tab. I'm going to pause this. I mean, if you don't have this video in HD or large screen, well, you should be doing it. But in case you don't know how, here's where you change your settings. I'm already in HD, so that's good. And here's where you go into theater mode, and here's full screen mode. So let me click on the full screen mode. This is what I suggest. I suggest HD mode and full screen mode.
So we're going to look at how to solve some polynomial inequalities and rational inequalities. And I'm going to show you how to use a sign diagram in order to do this. It might be a little bit different than what you see in your book. We're going to get the same result. I just like my sign diagram better.
That's enough of me babbling. But you can see it. It's going to be the material that you'd see in section 1.9. And I'm going to do another example, or I'm going to do some examples here just to give you more exposure to the material. Let me close this and get back to the MyMathLab. Yeah, I can't stress enough. My videos, they do not replace, reading the EText and watching the videos in the EText. It's just to help augment or supplement, give you some extra examples, try to give you my perspective on these topics. So I do have a video for each section in week 1. Typically, I will tell you what week we're in. I'm kind of redundant on that. The sections you're supposed to cover, the exercises for each section, and what EText screen they start on. And then at the bottom of each week announcement, you'll see due dates. So here's a reminder, online quiz 1. You can take it up to 3 times. Once you start it, it must be completed. There's no time limit. And the due date is Sunday, August 30th at 11:55 p.m. And again, you already know all that from looking at the academic calendar, but I like to remind everyone. Since I have it, let's go ahead and take a look at the week 2 announcements. Notice upper left-hand corner, week 2. Week 2 is Monday, August 31st to Sunday, September 6th. And again, I have some preview videos, but you can kind of start to see the typical layout of a weekly announcement. Reminders down here. So let me come back to the course homepage. And the next thing I thought we'd look at is the meat and potatoes of the site, and it's the EText. So I just clicked on the Read EText, and I'm going to click on it again, Read EText, and it's going to open the EText in a new tab for me. And what I thought I'd do to show you around some of the wonderful features of the EText is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to open up Chapter 1. Let's come to section 1.9. Notice up here's where you'll find the page. This is 1.9-1, so section 1.9, page 1. And this is one way to scroll through the text. This is how I tend to move through the text. And see, first thing to point out, things that are highlighted. You know, when you mouse over them, it says polynomial inequality, rational inequality. These are little clickable things that will pop up a brief definition. So for example, you know, zero product property. Let me click on it, and up pops a little box saying zero product property. If A times B equals 0, then A equals 0 or B equals 0. So it's just like a quick little definition that pops up to remind me of things. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Now let me close it. This little icon here that's in front of example 1, solving a polynomial inequality, it says. It's the icon that's telling me that this is a video. So I can see example 1 here. I can see the solution. In fact, the solution continues on to the next page. I just clicked forward. You know, I keep clicking. I mean, I can see the entire solution. But if I go back, this video, which I also saw at the end of example 1, is going to be a video. It's going to be the author showing a worked out solution to that example.
In this example, we want to solve a typical polynomial inequality.
That's the author of the text.
Inequality, x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x is greater than or equal to 0. Now the process for solving polynomial inequalities is rather lengthy, so I'll try to go slow. And remember, you can...
Okay, that's enough. You can see down here that the total runtime is going to be 6 minutes and 44 seconds, but it's going to be him working through the example. So, you know, you could read the example, you could watch the video of him working through the solution to the example. It's a really, really cool feature. It makes it a really great product. Let me kind of click through a little bit more. Let's see. Yeah, here's example 2. See if there's anything more now. Scroll down a little. Oh, hey. Here's the you try it icons. This is the you try it exercises that I mentioned in my 4-step cycle of learning. So this is right after example 2. If you click on this, it's going to open a little window. And let's see what it gives us in this little window. It says, okay, determine all boundary points and solve the polynomial inequality. Express each solution using interval notation. All right, so I see my polynomial inequality, and it says move all terms to one side of the inequality, leaving 0 on the other side. And these directions, simplify your answer, do not factor. Folks, this is going to be dreadfully important when you're doing online quizzes. You must follow the directions exactly. If you don't follow the directions exactly, it could be marked wrong. So let's see. I'll click in here. It looks like I'd have a 2x. Looks like here's how I get an exponent. Okay. Okay, now I kind of move out of that. I subtract 4x from both sides, so that would give me a minus x. And then add 6 to both sides, plus 6. I'll come down here and check my answer. Hey, it says I did excellent. Good for me. And then it continues. Completely factor the non-zero side. And then I could put in here its factored form. Or I could put here that it is not factorable. If I couldn't factor it, I would say it's not factorable. But you see how this is leading you through step by step. So, you know, look, I'll just click on it's not factorable and let's check my answer. And, well, it says I did a great job. Fantastic. And now it's going to determine the boundary points. So, you know, notice the directions. Type an integer or simplified fraction. Use a comma to separate answers as needed. I have to follow those directions, you know, exactly. Or I would click here, there are no boundary points. And then I click check the answer. But that's an example of what the you try it exercises or the you try it's are like. That it's similar to what you've just seen, and it kind of helps get you ready for the homework problems at the end of the section. I'm going to collapse down over here in the left frame. I'm going to collapse down Chapter 1. I'd like to open up Chapter 2. I wanted to show you something in Section 2.2. I want you to see the icon on animations. Here's the icon for an animation. So if we click on that, let's see what the difference is between a video and an animation.
A circle is the set of all points x, y in the Cartesian plane that are a fixed distance r from a fixed point hk. To derive the equation of a circle, we start by plotting the center of the circle with coordinates hk. All points on the circle are a fixed distance r from the center. We now choose an r.
Okay, I kind of think I see what an animation is now. Something cool. I mean, that's pretty neat. I'd watch that. Let's see. One more thing I'd like to show you. Chapter 3. These are some things that you might start to see pop up. This icon here, it's an interactive video. I mean, it says here interactive video, but it's the same. They're the same interactive videos. And let's just take a look at this.
Determine if the following equations represent y as a function of x. Click on equations A, B, or C to see each solution worked out in detail.
So you see as I mouse over, I can select any one of those. Now let me click
Let's take
A.
a look at equation A. To determine if the equation 3x minus 2y equals negative 12 represents y as a function of x, we must show that for any value of x, there is exactly one corresponding value of y. Well, to do this, let's try to solve this equation for y. We can solve the equation for y by first subtracting.
Okay, so that's an interactive video. I had to interact with it. And notice it looks like those 3 examples, it looks like they were A, B, and C of example 3 here. Says the equations parts A and B both present. Watch the interactive video to see parts A and B worked out in detail. Sometimes you're going to have an interactive video where it's going to ask you a question and you have to pick A, B, or C to see if you can answer the question correctly. And if you do, it tells you, hey, you did a good job. If not, it'll give you guidance on maybe what you did incorrectly. But folks, that's a quick overview of your EText and the really big important features within the EText itself that make it a pretty tight, pretty neat product. Coming back here, I just closed my EText. Coming back here, hey, next up, let's talk about this tab over here in the left frame called the Online Quizzes. This is where you find your online quizzes. Notice all 12 of them are already in here. You can see the due dates for each, which you already know from being on the academic calendar. And it looks like for online quiz 1, I've done 0 of 3 attempts. Remember, I have a maximum of 3 attempts. So if I wanted to do online quiz 1 right now, I would click on it, and online quiz 1 would open, and that would begin my first attempt at online quiz 1. And I would have to finish that attempt in this session. Now, if it took me 2 hours, it took me 2 hours to do it. But once I start it, I must complete it. If I didn't like my score and it's not yet the deadline, I could take it again later on or maybe tomorrow, but I would have up to 3 attempts at it. Let's see, tools for success. You could look at that at your own leisure. Multimedia library. Gradebook, you'll always be checking the gradebook. This is where you can see your current grades. Your online quiz scores will automatically be entered into the gradebook, and I will also put into the gradebook your test scores. It'll always give you an up-to-date reading of what your current grade is as a percentage. Finally, let's look at the Test 1 Preparation tab. So this is what I'll typically give you to help you prepare for a test. I'll give you a study guide. I'll give you a practice test. answers to most items on the practice test, and video solution to most items on the practice test. So if you look at a typical study guide, I always remind you what sections are covered. So for each section, I will tell you problems you should know how to do from the EText. If you know how to do these problems that I have listed here, you should be well prepared for the test. Now, let me close that. Here's a practice test. Print it out. It's a PDF. So if you know how to do all those problems I gave you on the study guide, you should be able to do a pretty good job here on the practice test. So print it out and take it and see how you do on the practice test. Here are the answers. And as I say, it's the answers to most items on the practice test. And then if there's anything you really needed to see, well, you could always click on that link and it'll take you to a YouTube video showing solutions, worked out solutions to the items on practice test 1. Again, make sure it's in HD. I would go into large viewer. Here, let's see here.
Hey folks, thought I'd work through.
That looks like that was number 1 from the practice test. So again, that's what you can expect to see for each test. I'll open up a preparation tab and give you these items. So let me come back to the course home. And, again, there's where you find your weekly announcements, course information, 5 documents you need to print out. Here's your EText, online quizzes, gradebook, preparation tabs. And that's pretty much it. That's the overview on how to use MyMathLab. Again, most questions will be answered in the course syllabus. So I hope that you found this video to be beneficial. Hopefully you're ready to get started, and hopefully you knock out the material and do a great job this semester. Thanks for watching.